Well, old Bob's done a lot better than he was doing this morning. After his initial thinking that he was going to die on me, he then perked up no end. Wow. Had a good feed. Didn't want to drink, no, which was a bit of concern. But I put him outside with old Floyd, and he wandered around a little bit, which was great. Had a flap, as he's just done. He had a couple of stretches. He had a couple of fits too, but since then he hasn't had any more. He moved forward and moved back without convulsing. Tried to preen himself. I did clean off his oil gland, but I think there's a problem with it because every time I touched it with a cotton wool to rinse it, he didn't mind me lathering it up to clean it all up, but when I went to rinse it and was making sure that it was well and truly rinsed and pushing down a little bit around the area, he really was reacting as if it was painful. As you can see, he's trying to preen, so I think he feels a bit more comfortable with it now, but I haven't had time to research it. Problems that oil glands can cause, I'm sure they can cause a problem, but I haven't looked. But as you can see, his tail's not drooping now, it's nice and straight. He's horizontal across the back now. His little comb. Yeah, I'm going to do something about your dinner in a minute. He's all beginning to stand up there. It's not up there yet, but it's going to stand. Doesn't like me touching it. He's getting very fussy about that. But it's a good temperature. And his little wattle is less inflamed. It's black. I don't know if that's dead or not, whether it'll ever heal or not, I don't know. I have to be careful of gangrene setting in there. But it's not open, so that's okay. But the swelling is beginning to go down, and it's not half as hot as it was. That one feels warmer, in fact. Hey, you're doing good, aren't you? Yeah, you're doing good. Yeah. So, yeah. So after the despair I felt this morning thinking that's it, he's dying, he now seems to be doing extremely well. I gave him some boiled egg and with his cat's claw and oregano herb and milk thistle tea, and he wolfed that down. That seemed to be the turning point, actually, that he felt a lot better after he'd eaten that. And I've had half a boiled egg, and I've done him another, I'm going to give him the other half now with his natural yoghurt in it, because he's lost that smell. He hasn't got that horrible going rotten gizzard smell about him. He hasn't had that for a day and a half. I haven't noticed that. So I'm going to keep up with the yoghurt until he's well on the mend. Obviously, if he does mend 100%, but he is going from strength to strength, and he thinks he's a kitchen chicken. And he's outside, he stands just motionless most of the time, looks around, might go 2 paces backwards, might go 2 paces forwards, but basically stays wherever I put him. Unless, of course, he has a convulsion, in which case he changes position, but he just stays there. But in the kitchen, as you can see, he'll wander around, he looks around, he talks, he wickers, flaps, stretches, acts like a normal chicken. Yeah, don't you? Yeah, you think you're a house pet now, don't you? And you're probably going to end up being a house pet. Hey, you're probably going to end up being a house pet. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're a sweetie, aren't you? We're very fond of you. Always have been very fond of you, because you've always been so gentle and unassuming. Just mind your own business, don't you? Just get on with life. That's why I was so distressed seeing him convulsing like he was and bashing himself to death, because he didn't deserve for that to happen. I'm still wondering if it was Rhode Island or maybe even Floyd that jumped on him and damaged him. Seeing how Floyd reacts to him, as soon as he moves, he tries to jump on his back. So it may well have been a spinal injury, yeah. Which, of course, would have interfered with the nerves and the messages going to the brain. And I'd say if there was any movement or anything happening, drinking, eating, pooing or moving, would immediately trigger a convulsion in varying degrees of ferocity. Hey look man, you're having to get you your supper. Right, we're going to get him a supper. Right, that's his yoghurt. Oh my god, he's getting his wattles in it. Oh, disgusting. Natural yoghurt, half a boiled egg, oregano, and a little bit more of the older milk thistle tea. It was absolutely disgusting, but he thinks it's wonderful. Oh, don't put it on the floor. No, I put it up there so you didn't need to put your head right down on the floor. You don't even like to do that, but it's still at an uneven angle, isn't it? It's lower than you are. But it'll finish that off. Then he'll have his corn and wheat afterwards. And a few chick crumbs, high protein chick crumbs. Well, pheasant, guinea and turkey crumbs actually. But they've got a lot more protein in, a lot more soya in, as well as probably the ICI chemical works. Probably nothing but toxic waste really, but there we are. The soy you get here is toxic waste as well. I wouldn't give that to my worst enemy, let alone my birds. And it's supposed to be organic. My eye. And I'm not having much success in growing my own, which is a right shame, but never mind. And while I'm here, there's my little peach trees, 10 of them. Looking very healthy. Not like their mother tree outside. I don't know what's the matter with that. I'll have to research it. Like I'll have to research your oil gland, won't we? We haven't done that yet. You finish that first, and I'll clean your bottles off and maybe put you outside for a few. Oh my god, he's got it covered. Oh, it's disgusting. You're a bit of a messy eater, aren't you? Look at you. God, man. Mind you, he's eating with gusto. Wonderful sight. And we're not fitting with every other, shut up, with every other mouthful. Brilliant. So that's how keen he is to eat now. I've just taken the dish of yoghurt and egg off of the pot that I bring his corn into the house with, and he's decided to tuck into that rather than wait for his dish that I give him his corn in. So, and he's getting quite low, which he hasn't been really wanting to do. You know, it has to be sort of almost the food. He either has to be quite high or minimum level with the middle of his chest, bottom half of his chest. But that was a pretty little curtsy. And he's getting in that. So, impatient obviously. But there we are. Now he's decided he's going to preen himself. You're not actually getting to your oil gland, my man. Yeah. Stood up. Are we going to have a fit? Please, no. No, don't. Yeah, a little one. Oh dear. Oh. No. No. Look at that. We thought about it. But we didn't. And I carry on preening. He hasn't done that for 2 weeks. Well, I haven't seen him do that for at least 2 weeks. I doubt he did it when he was outside. Others I know he didn't dust because he had all these lice eggs on him. But and there's a pretty boy. You're having a good old stretch, aren't you? Getting up and laying down without fitting. I'm wondering if it's egg that's curing him. Because this is the 4th day he's had egg. So today he had a boiled egg in two goes, all mashed up with some yoghurt and the good stuff, herbs and whatnot. And yesterday and the day before, oh no, 3 days. Yesterday and the day before, he had just the egg yolk once a day mixed in with yoghurt, very liquidy, so he could drink it rather than eat it, because he seemed to be able to cope with that better than eating. He liked to eat the corn, bits of corn, but that was it. He didn't want to eat anything else hard or gooey, but he was certainly drinking it with gusto. So that was egg yolk, just egg yolk and yoghurt and apple cider vinegar, and oh yeah, I forgot the apple cider vinegar. He's been having that every day as well. About 4 meals every day, spread over the course of the day, and with his oregano and cat's claw and milk thistle tea. He hasn't had nettle tea for 3 days. I decided to have enough of that. And I'm spraying all the nettles with salt and washing up liquid to try and keep them down, because they were taking over, taller than I was. I know I'm a bit of a short arse, but some of them were about 6 foot tall, and it's only the 3rd of May. But no, he's, as I say, from this morning, I'm thinking, oh God, do nothing but fitting, and looking really very sorry for himself. But then eating with gusto, but didn't want to drink. And I gave him boiled egg and yoghurt and made it fairly sort of pasty, a bit liquidy. Wolfed that down, had him outside with Floyd, but then had him the other side of the fence because Floyd again was getting a bit amorous. So they seemed to be quite happy just talking to each other through the fence, but he couldn't get to him, so it was okay. And I say he's just gone on from strength to strength. Preening, getting up, laying down, wandering around, flapping, stretching, and not a fit for 3 hours. He had 2 fits last night, but that was it, they were mild. He had quite a few this morning, 2 of them extremely vicious. One of them, he climbed up the bars in the cage. I had hold of him, but he managed to open up his wings because he was pushing so much on the bars of the cage on the floor that, just like I say, like trying to keep hold of a grease pig, I couldn't keep hold of him. And he plummeted and fell straight on his bum, and I thought, oh God, that's done him all good, because he hasn't got any fat on him. That's done him no good at all. He didn't seem too worse aware, and now he's decided he's going to go to sleep. So I'll put him back in his cage now and he can roost. Yep, he definitely thinks he's a kitchen chicken. Or a house chicken. Or a house rooster. And he's sleeping with his head under his wing, which he certainly hasn't done for 2 weeks. Possibly longer again, but we are quite happily asleep on the kitchen floor with warm air coming out under the fridge with our beak tucked under our wing. What a wonderful, normal sight. Well, apart from the fact that he's on the kitchen floor, but normal rooster. Normal chicken behaviour. Perfect.